So I figured I would make like a really quick video. Hopefully it'll be like within like 10 minutes instead of like the normal 15. It's kind of hard to keep track of the time when you do one of these, but yeah, I wanted to make a quick video. So I've been handling the situation pretty much as well as you can handle it, and I figured I would just kind of like let people know like what happens when the people are driving you up a tree, like what happens when they're trying to make your life miserable. So the short answer to that question is they don't really seem to care whether you're pissed or not. Well, they care, but it doesn't really stop them. So like there were a lot of theories on Reddit when I was using Reddit. There were a lot of theories on Reddit about like what the gang stalkers were getting out of it. I don't really see them getting anything out of it, to be honest. Like, it seems like they would be, but my experience is kind of like I really feel like it's basically any situation in which they see someone vulnerable, they automatically just start moving on that person. I mean, that would be my best guess. So like it's not about, they want you to be pissed and they're going to work towards that, but what's important is that you're vulnerable in their eyes and they see weakness that they can use against you. So like whether it works or not is not as important as them seeing this vulnerability and figuring they can, destroy you with it. So like the community, I think when in a lot of these situations, if you take the spiritual element out of things and you just look at these people as just very, questionable people, well, I think that like in a situation in which you've been targeted, what matters to the people is you being vulnerable and them thinking that they can hurt you more than whether it's effective or not. Like, I think they just have the need to try to do it, and they probably don't really know how effective it is unless you show them that. And even when you don't show it to them, they'll probably just assume it works because they wouldn't know any better. So like, as far as demonic entities go, I would imagine that a demon would, if nothing else, would at least attempt to, to hurt you, because that's what it's here for. It's, demons, if they can't drag you down, they go down trying to do it. I don't really think they're looking at it the same way we would look at it, because like to us, we would start doing the calculations in our head and wondering if it's worth the effort. Like, I wouldn't bother doing something if I didn't think it was worth the effort, if I didn't think I had a good shot at it. But if you were to reinsert spirituality in the situation, you'd say, well, if it's a demon, not a person, or a person who's under the influence of some sort of evil fallen angel or something. So if you put that into the equation, they're not really going to care. It's just they have to try. So a lot of it would be you just dealing with the fact that these people are evil and they're out to get you, but not really what they do. Is just, the idea of them lurking around in the shadows, behind every corner or whatever. I think that's kind of insidious and ugly, and most people wouldn't want that ugliness in their lives. So the big issue I deal with is just the fact that these people are really ugly, and I just don't want their ugliness in my life. It's not that like I'm super pissed over it or anything. I'm just saying, like, well, of course you're pissed over it. I mean, there's no denying they did a lot of damage. So like the community did a whole lot of terrible things, and it was just completely wicked, very wicked people. And they did that. I mean, I'm just saying at this point, it's kind of, well, you're going to be moving on, and you just move on with your life, and you realize these people are still themselves, and they're still evil, and they are motivated by spiritual wickedness, and whether it works or not, they're going to continue to try. So I said this on Reddit years ago. This was before I created a YouTube channel. I said this on Reddit years ago, and I said, well, I'll tell you what, the people, long before I actually started responding to the gang stalkers, I really feel like they were out there. I think that they do different things with different people. So I think that like we assume that they're just like, doing this weird stuff that I'm showing you. I don't think that that's always the approach. I think the gang stalker's ultimate goal is to make this world horrible. And they have people doing all sorts of stuff, and a lot of this stuff is more normal. I think what happens is that if the normal stuff doesn't work, they go to this because the normal stuff isn't working. So like, these will be the same people who are just like flash mobbing stores and, they're robbing stores and attacking police officers and, just doing all sorts of crazy stuff. And we are paying attention to this because of how bizarre it is. But if you really think about it, they wouldn't really have to resort to this in order to drag most people down. Like, I think they have like a lot of tactics. Like, let's assume that they didn't need to go in this direction. I think they would have made my life miserable in different ways that weren't as unusual. I think they had to go to this length because of who I am and what I brought to the table, and they didn't have a whole lot of other avenues to go down. If they had another avenue to go down that was more normal, I think they would have went with it. So, like, it's like how you notice how in certain areas, especially like San Francisco, you have all these bad things happening to people, and it's not like super creepy, but bad things are happening to people. Like, these people, it would be these same people who are just doing all these bad things, and most people just be like, well, these are poor people and whatever, and they write it off because it's normal. It seems normal to them. So I think that, like, with a majority of them, when you talk about Satan's people, well, Satan's people have an easier time and don't have to be as weird with a lot of other people. I think that, like, what happens when you're, really spiritual or whatever is they got to get aggressive. They got to get creative. They have to sort of go against the rules of society. Like, these people stopped caring about the rules of society because they noticed they weren't making progress using other methods. Like, they used, your job, whatever, the job or whatever weakness they find, and they do it in a very sneaky way. I think that gang stalkers operate in subterfuge 96% of the time. So the other 4% is when they know that they can't do that, or they know you're on to them and they just reveal themselves. But I think if you were to take that out of the equation, like, they could target lots of people, normal people, and these people will go their entire lives without ever knowing they were actually targeted, because these people have influence in everything. They have their hands in everything. So it's like they get to know you and they know what buttons to push. I think that I was unique in that I was special in some sort of way, and it just made it almost impossible for them to use other methods in order to get to me. So that's why this was kind of like a last resort method, where they just said, to hell with it, we're going to expose ourselves and send our people after this guy directly. And not only that, but just allow them to record it. I mean, because even when they did that and they tried to prevent me from recording it, I was recording it. So that didn't work. I want to also bring up the fact that when this first started, they didn't immediately allow me to record them. They were trying to avoid that. It got to the point where the operation would not have worked if they continued to, not allow me to record. So they just stopped caring because it was a weakness. So what happened is that it became a weakness for them to try to prevent me from recording them, because I always have a cell phone on me, and I was, running around just ducking, dodging, and it gave me an upper hand. So they had to just let that go. Honestly, think that, like, if they felt that they could have been effective while hiding their insidious plot, if they could have effectively hid their plot with me, they would have done that. And I think that, like, most of the people that they target, because you're not even really we're talking about principalities, we're talking about Satan. Like, Satan, 98% of the people Satan beats never even know they were targeted. Like, when Satan is beating people, they don't know they're targeted. Like, it would be like maybe 4% of us, and we're special in some way, who would know they were targeted by the devil. And a lot of people would just be like, well, that sounds hokey. They're talking about devils. And dude, I mean, I have shown so many videos of what happens that I think you should take these things seriously. And I just want to make that point again. Like, the people out here, you could live here, you could live in this community and never know anything was off. Like, I mean, you would just be like, well, they're just the type of people they are. They're just a little, I don't know, unusual, a little, a little bizarre. Maybe eccentric. There is a eccentric community with eccentric people. You might be able to say that, but I mean, think about every person who dealt with people like this and never knew these people were sabotaging them the entire time. Like, they never knew. I can see a person living their whole entire life and just dying and never knowing they were targeted. I think that, like, when I talk about Satan, I'm talking about the hidden evil presence that is really behind a lot of bad things that happen. And it has a name. And it has a name. Like, when bad things happen, it's not always random. So we have people, and even the gang stalkers themselves are being targeted by Satan. They wouldn't know it, though. So they would be targeted by Satan, too. And Satan would be doing stuff to them. I mean, maybe some of them at least. And, you know, it's kind of just like, I don't really know how demons operate. Like, when gang stalkers are killing each other, or Satan's people are killing each other, whether they care or not, or how they feel about it, I honestly don't know. Like, two possessed people meet each other and they start trying to kill each other. Do they care? I don't really know. Like, being possessed or having some sort of evil influence like that that's controlling you, I don't really know how that works. But from what I understand, people who are possessed just literally don't care what happens to them. And they even self-harm. A lot of times they'll even self-harm. Like, they feel like this is a body that they don't, I mean, it's God's special temple. They just want to defile it. And they defile it. And I don't really think they care all that much what happens to them, because we're talking about a demon that's just really ridding that body out. And, you know, he doesn't even really respect it. So two Satanists meet each other and there's some beef there. I don't know if it's a big deal, because the demon is just like, well, you know, you're going to hell, I'm going back to hell, I'll find another body, just hop into that. I don't really know. A lot of deal breakers, not a deal breaker, you know. There's always a thug. There's always a thug I could get into. So the demon would just be like, these people are super expendable. So going back to, and there are people, and I think there are people who are waking up and they're seeing the evil, and I think they're kind of just have like this aggressive reaction to it. So for people who are spiritual or religious or whatever, the worst thing you could do is allow these people to turn you into something that you're not supposed to be. Bottom line is, they want you to hate them. They literally want you to hate them. They want that. Like, so if you hate them, even if you should hate them because they're evil, and it will make sense. Well, the point of them being evil is to make you hate them. So that's the whole point. So we'd see this crime wave, and we see these criminals and these criminal psychopaths, and we were like, these are the worst people on the planet. It makes perfect sense for us to hate them. Well, the reason why they do so much to make you hate them is literally because they want you to hate them. So that's the point. If you hate them, it breaks your connection with God. So that's actually a victory. So Jesus basically told people to turn the other cheek, because he understood this. He understood this. Like, they're going to do everything possible to make you hate them. And it's going to make sense for you to do it. And you're going to be like, well, of course I hate them. These are the worst humans on the planet. Well, they are the worst humans on the planet simply because Satan wants you to hate them, because that's a bad thing. So if you hate them, it's going to drag you away from your connection with the Creator. So everything, we have rules for a reason. We have rules for a reason. I used to try to tell people this. Satan is a fallen angel, and he has fallen angels, and these angels are not stupid. They will outmaneuver you in a heartbeat if you use your human knowledge to deal with them. So we have rules for a reason. And that's kind of just what I wanted to say with that. And I hope people take it seriously. And with that said, let me go ahead and close.